Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Rod doing Rod, and what I want to talk about is actually the concept of leadership as it pertains to children. I feel we do children a disservice. Let me straighten this out a taste, actually. It's a little taste. I feel like we do children a disservice when we talk about leadership. We tell kids, I want you to be a leader, and you need to be a leader, and they don't know what that means, and we say it because we've been indoctrinated to feel like a leader is the person in charge, and we want our kids to be in charge. We feel like it's better to be the boss than to be the person under the boss. And even thinking about it as under is a problem in itself, the terminology. But so we think we need to teach our children to be leaders. You need to be the one that's telling other people what to do. Is that it? You need to be the one making the decisions. Is that it? What do we mean when we tell our children, be a leader? I think what we mean is lead yourself. Be someone who makes good decisions and leads yourself to the right place. That is not the same thing as being the person who's in charge. That's not the same thing as you being the boss. And I feel like it also doesn't mean you being the best. And I feel like if we don't make that distinction, then children are not going to understand that. And that's very important. As we know, when we get older, everyone is not a leader. And when we think of leaders, we're thinking of leaders of people, of other people. And that's where we go wrong, because, when we get older, we realize everyone can't lead other people. You watching this, you may have realized by now you're not a leader. And that's perfectly okay. You are a leader in some capacity in certain contexts. Okay? But maybe not at work, maybe not on a sports team, maybe not in a group of creatives or something like that, and when we tell children, you need to be a leader and I want you to be a leader, what we're telling them is to be responsible in their decisions. That's what we're trying to relate to them. We want you to be someone who's going to think through everything and make good choices so you can go along the path that you choose to go in the safest, or not always safe, take calculated risks, but in a way that's not going to damage you and other people. But this is not what we tell them. So maybe they feel like they have to be the best. Maybe they feel like they have to boss people around. And, like I said, we realize when we get older that this is not the case. And what we need to do also is let kids know that part of leadership is being a good follower. And even that, that term we've talked about that in schools and amongst friends and stuff like that. But what does that mean? That means you can identify a good leader and you can choose the right people to follow at the right times. Maybe sometimes the best choice isn't to follow anyone, but a lot of the time it is, because we do things, it's best to do things in groups, to collaborate, to achieve goals. And it's never a flat kind of situation. Some people know more, some people are more capable at certain times, some people are more experienced, so people take different leadership roles at different times. So it's good to know, okay, that's who I need to follow. This is when I need to stop following them. I only need to follow them when they do this and not when they do that. We need to be a lot more nuanced when we speak to our kids about these things. And maybe you don't recognize it yourself, right? As an adult at work, or in some kind of situation, you're collaborating and you're trying to achieve something. And hold on. It's good, man. And, you look back because, okay, even myself, I never felt like I was a leader until I felt like a leader for years now, but of people I'm talking about. But I never felt like I was a leader of people growing up. I felt like that was someone else. And then I kind of felt like I was more the outsider. I would follow, and I wouldn't cause any problems for the leader, but maybe I thought I knew more than the leader. maybe I kind of passive aggressively caused issues for the leader. I don't know, but I mean, I do know at times I did, but when I look back, I could have been such a better follower and I could have helped lead. See, a lot of us, it's better for us to help lead. And once I became a leader, that's, going through that leadership journey, I realized that I needed better followers. And I'm the type of person, I can be a leader and I can be a great follower. I'm the type of person, when I identify a good leader, I'm all in. I'm willing to help them. I'm willing to support them, give them what they need, give them grace, leeway, because no one's perfect. And we need people who are going to give leaders constructive criticism, who are going to give them an ear, another set of eyes, some support, people who are going to lend their skill set to the leader, because a lot of the time it's a leader who knows how to utilize other people's skill sets. So I realized at a certain point that I wasn't that type of leader of people. I was more of the inspiring leader. I used to think I was just the kind who you would watch and you'd become inspired by what they're doing. And in that way, I noticed people would copy me and cultures would change around me. But later on, I took more responsibility for talking about how I did these things, how I carried myself, how I achieved certain things. And I became more vocal. It just wasn't about I'm going to show up and do my own thing and lead myself. But I would also talk to other people because I realized people wanted to know. And I didn't realize that for a long time that people were waiting for me to lead. They wanted me to lead them, to tell them, okay, how do you approach this? What do you do? What are you thinking? And the more people asked me those questions, the light bulb finally went off in my head. This is something that people value about me. So I expanded my leadership. And these are things we can tell kids, it's not always standing in front of the room and barking orders or being, Mr. Charismatic who is, giving the speech, and, Steve Jobs on the platform, kind of thing, It's not always about that. So as far as our kids, as a teacher, you'll see kids kind of figure out themselves who that leader is, right? They figure it out very soon. And a lot of times the person they choose is not the best leader. You know that as an experienced human. You get older and you realize that. But they may just be following the most aggressive kid, the loudest kid, the biggest risk taker, and sometimes the best leader. But then you need to train your kids to know who to follow and when. Okay, well, maybe that kid's habits when it comes to being prepared for class, but not how they talk to other people, and just kind of telling them that leadership comes in all forms and following does also. And following, because we say don't be a follower, but what we mean by that is don't make stupid decisions. That's really all we mean when we say don't be a follower. Don't make the decision to follow this person into a pit of fire, okay? That's really what we mean. So, we need to be a little more clear talking to the kids and telling them, actually, it makes sense to be a follower a lot of the times, to be a damn good follower, to learn your skills and to get noticed and to be in position for doing things. But also, you can be collaborating and each of you can be leading from a certain aspect. So you can develop your child in that way. You're very kind and people listen to you and want to do stuff for you because of that. This is how you transfer that into getting things done and not just being known as the nice guy or the nice girl, and having those really specific conversations that no one was having with us. So, as a teacher, I try to talk to students from that perspective. Like, this is what I notice about you. You know, people listen to you even when the class is even when the class is very chaotic, right? They look over at you, see what you're doing, and they copy you. You didn't even notice that. And now that kid internalizes that. Maybe that kid never thought of themselves as a leader and starts to internalize that kind of behavior. Or, another kid is like, you know what, you're genuinely funny. A lot of kids are just like clownish and they're not actually funny. They're just trying to get attention, or they're copying what they see other people do. But you have a charisma. I'll tell you what that word means, charisma. I'm talking to the kid. And the kids are drawn to it. So they almost take more responsibility when you point it out. When you say, this is what you do, this is what I notice, and this is what I've noticed about the people around you. This is what you can do with that. And it even makes them, kind of more responsible, knowing they have this power, and so it's just something maybe to talk to your kids about. If you're going to tell them, I want you to be a leader, know your kids also. We're not always trying to tell them they need to go and lead other people, or they shouldn't be following other people. Tell them what good leadership and good following looks like, and good collaboration. All of those three things go together: the following, the leadership, the collaboration. Because if you just talk about one thing, you want them to be a leader, then they're not going to get the full picture. And maybe there's a lot of jerks right now in charge who shouldn't be, because they were only told they should be the leaders. And I guess, they did they did become the leaders of certain things, but they didn't become great leaders. Maybe they could have led more people, or maybe they could have created more leaders and better followers. Let's think about that. Maybe some of these leaders right now who we know of, who have been told they are special and should be leading from when they were children and ended up in leadership positions, could have used their influence and their skills to make better followers of the people we see following them now. Maybe it's not just about your ideology and you aligning with this side and that side and this person. Maybe, we can disagree when it comes to these things, but you learn how to be a follower of your ideology a lot better. Like I said, you learn to go on your path without damaging and being harmful to other people, which is what we have a lot in this world now. So yeah, a few thoughts about leadership. Rod doing Rod. Y'all take it easy. Peace.